You know, I really didn't want to have to make this video. I didn't. Despite what you may think, I know, the Donda, the complicated rollout video, the first one, is my most popular video of all time on this channel, but I didn't want to be here talking about Donda if I didn't have an album to dive into and explain the meaning behind the lyrics and really just try to digest a brand new Kanye record. However, about 7 months after that original video dropped, we still don't have a new Kanye album. You guys have certainly asked for a part 2, so who am I to not give the people what they want? And certainly a lot has occurred, so let's go ahead and get right into revisiting the Donda timeline, at least from where we left off. So when I first finished my original video, Nah 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 had just dropped on streaming services. Boy, how lucky were we, huh? Kanye would go on Joe Rogan's podcast. It was mostly to discuss political stuff, but there was also some interesting tidbits about like a Yeezy soundstage. But you gotta think back here while we're retracing our steps. Kanye still was yet to find out the results of the 2020 US election. He was still running for president here. And in doing so, Kanye, of course, would be on Twitter and would tweet about the Yeezy Christian Academy. We still don't entirely really know what that is. Is it like a religious school for youth? Is it, we don't really know yet. But Kanye's all decked out in blue. And he would also be decked out in blue for Halloween. We would see this weird suit Kanye would wear on the 30th and 31st. And basically at this time, the whole thing that we were latching on to hope for was an album release on Election Tuesday, November the 3rd. And to my surprise, this is like one of the most interesting tidbits to me about this whole entire rollout. That was the plan. Charlemagne the God has been on record now to say that the plan was for the album to be released on November the 3rd, Election Tuesday.
And he wanted to drop his album on November 3rd.
Along with the release, Nah 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 would be the bonus track. So along with releasing the album on Tuesday and winning the presidency, no big deal, your hopes aren't too high there, Mr. West, Kanye was also set to go on Jimmy Kimmel the following Wednesday, so the day right after the election. And he was allegedly going to be the president at that point in time. We've seen Kanye go on Kimmel to promote music before. I mean, who could forget when he sang some songs off Pablo and that said, KanyeWest.com, Life of Pablo on Tidal now, rah, rah, and he ran off the stage. He's done it for a lot of albums, and even Yandi, even though that would never see the light of day. But actually, Kanye would cancel his appearance on the show after learning the results of the election, which I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. A couple of months after, just a little bit after, Kanye did not win the presidency. The election day would be the last time Kanye would actually tweet. To this moment in time, he's yet to tweet since November the 3rd. On that day, he would tweet stuff like him voting for himself. He would even get back on Instagram during this point in time. Also, Kanye would tweet out a picture when the results came through and it was announced Joe Biden won, of himself and just the year 2024, which of course is an election year, and we might have to go through all this bullshit again. This is where Kanye's reign of silence would begin. And, usually this is a good thing with potentially Kanye focusing in on the studio, or even maybe he's focusing on clothing with Yeezy Gap, but there'd be a lot of diversions from this point in time forward, unfortunately, that we'll cover. Now, because we got no album on the election day, Tuesday the 3rd, the next rumor and rollout theory was basically that Kanye was going to feature on a bunch of people's albums that he was close to in the music world and then release his own album. It all started when Kanye featured on track 6 for Ty Dolla $ign's featuring Ty Dolla $ign. That album would drop October 23rd, so this theory was kind of before the election results came through. The next album Kanye would feature on would be 2 Chainz. He would be on the track Feel Away, which honestly, in this whole string of albums that he was on, this is my favorite track out of all of them. On the same day that Feel Away would drop, he would also release the Nah 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 remix featuring 2 Chainz and DaBaby, but this would actually be censored. And these 2 tracks would be released on November 13th. Kanye would also feature on St. John's While the World Was Burning album on the track Pray For Me. And then a week after that, St. John would release like an extra for the album Smack DVD, which is also a good song, but I just really like the back and forth nature of Feel Away with 2 Chainz. But of course, this would not lead to an album release. All we really got from anyone who was like remotely even close to Kanye was a quote from Consequences on one of his many Instagram lives. Cons would say, "We getting this album soon. It's retarded." Now another rumor would go ahead, but this one actually has a lot of backbone, and this is of course in mid-November, and this is where the whole conspiracy about the Hurricanes music video would start to spiral. Basically, the whole theory went that this was going to be a single drop before Donda, or it even could have been part of the rollout, like the album gets released, and then also Kanye drops a music video with, this track, which is a lot of people believe has a lot of radio-friendly, the sound, the instrumental, the beat, and also the feature, which was also included in this whole info dump, being Lil Baby. So there's a lot of elements there that would lead you to predict that this song would be pretty popular, on TikTok and stuff. So having a music video for this is pretty sensible. So a guy that works in New York somehow saw that Kanye, or Yeezy as the client name was stated, was renting out a slot in New York to shoot this music video. It was going to be directed by Hype Williams, and we have shots of Hype Williams actually in the studio that this picture of the piece of paper was actually taken. It's interesting that the song once known as Hurricane also now has an S to it, so it's Hurricanes. We don't know if that'll be something that Kanye holds on to, as the song is kind of considered a lock for whatever record's going to be coming soon. And the whole timestamp basically for this to get released was Thanksgiving. So we would get no music video, no updates, no nothing, and basically there's some controversy about this information and the legitimacy of it. I do think something was shot. I just, whether we'll see it or not, who knows? This is, also in this era, we got pictures now of the New Body video that was shot. And we've obviously never got that song, and we've never got that music video, so you never know with Kanye. Also around this time, we would start to get rumors about the score for the Donda film. The early cut was allegedly done, and the tracks that were on the mini movie were as follows: Future Bounce, With Child, God's Country, In God's Country, Off the Grid, and 24. Also included in this info dump was the addition of what the planned features were at this point in time for Alien. So it was Pusha T, which would be great, and also Ant Clemens, but it was reported that Ant isn't on like the little intro, kind of, I won't let him get the best of it, that little part. He more or less had a different role in the song, so maybe he had a verse, or maybe they changed up the lyrics of that opener, we don't really know. On November 24th, Mike Dean would be streaming on Twitch and seen in his computer as he was mixing live on the video platform. We would see folders that said Donda, Kanye West Donda. So it was confirmed, Mike Dean saying that he had to mix some stuff for Kanye in his new project. And mixing is the final stage, so we were all kind of like, okay, something's cooking here. Also adding to the possibility of an album coming out at this point in time was Kanye deleting the Donda video, the music, and the music video, or at least is assumed to be the music video, off of his Twitter. So if you're going to release a song, maybe you don't want it available on Twitter, you want it on a streaming platform where you can actually see some monetization from that. Things would take a very interesting turn when Kanye would be spotted with Playboy Cardi in Wyoming. Cardi was out of retirement and hyping up his new album, Whole Lotta Red. Cardi would post a video on Instagram around the time that he was spotted with Kanye of an old Kanye verse planned to be on Whole Lotta Red back in 2016. So we all thought, cool, Kanye's going to be featured. We're going to hear some new Kanye. But then things got even more interesting as Kanye was said to be the executive producer for this whole Lotta Red project. We would even see Kanye in Belgium, overseas, and he would have a really cool attire on. He'd have a mask and stuff like that. Some random stalker guy would even follow Kanye and Cardi to whatever place they were staying at and film them playing music. And while that's really creepy, we did get the information that Cardi kind of recorded a verse for what sounds like Off the Grid. Now, controversy would spark when the album's merch would be released. It would be, what many people would consider satanic. And with Kanye as an executive producer, a lot of people question, why is Kanye, who's such a strong Christian, why is he involved in this? And did he promote this? I love the fact that Whole Lotta Red was released on Christmas Day with the vibes of the record. It's just kind of like, it's ironic. What we will come to learn is that Kanye would re-record his track, or the track he was featured on, his verse for Go to the Moon. He would actually re-record that, so that'd be new Kanye at least. And also, the whole Christmas release date would be handed over to Playboi Carti. Kanye wanted to drop Donda on December 25th. Donda was rescheduled to be released on January 1st. It was said to have 16 songs in the bonus track. Remember before I said how the bonus track back on election day was supposed to be Na Na Na? Well, this one was set to be Sky City. What a drastic evolution. And since this cancellation, it's been reported that the album's whole entire narrative, the story, the vibes of the record have really been flipped upside down. It's a very different project from what was going to be released at that time. It's believed that safe songs that are still going to be on the record are Alien, Believe What I Say, 24, I Feel Terrific, and Hurricane. So no album would come out on the 1st, and instead, this random girl on TikTok would just start a rumor that Kanye was basically having an affair with Jeffree Star. While this rumor would later be debunked, another rumor that was surfacing at this point in time would later be confirmed. And that is the unfortunate news of Kanye and wife Kim Kardashian getting a divorce. Like I said, this would be speculated at the time in early January, but later confirmed on February 19th. Well, let's go back to January a little bit, because we got some stuff to talk about in that point in time. There would be an info dump released in mid-January that would really flip the whole West Sub Ever Kanye community on its head. So this is that information I spoke on briefly, that the album's whole direction was really changed from what it was supposed to be when it was going to be released on first Christmas, but then January 1st. And allegedly the whole narrative changed when the divorce was starting to be, spoken of between probably Kanye and Kim. I think this has kind of been a long time coming, unfortunately. But also when it was officiated. So allegedly, several songs would be scrapped, including Donda, Hold the Wine, In God's Country, Wake the Dead, Up from the Ashes, Keep My Spirit Alive, and Praise God. It's interesting to note that all the songs that are scrapped were like the songs taken from Jesus is King or Jesus is King 2, and mostly were really centered around gospel and religious themes. The songs that were being kept were the following: Alien, Hurricanes, I Feel Terrific, Tell the Vision, Off the Grid, and Believe What I Say. The leaker, who is very well respected in the Kanye community, said the album was going to be more spiritual rather than religious. So we're talking like Jesus Walks territory. Also included in this info dump was the information of Believe What I Say being released as a single, which I think is a fantastic idea. Now, we've yet to get anything, so who honestly knows what's going on, if the album's even called Donda at this point anymore. But I think it is interesting to talk about the information we did receive at different points in time. Then, on January 22nd, the With Child trailer, which was supposed to be a movie by Dame Dash Studios, featuring Kanye and potentially some of these songs on Donda, would be found on Vimeo. So basically, someone accidentally uploaded this trailer onto a public platform, and someone in West Sub Ever found it. Not only is that just the stupidest thing I've ever heard from someone who is likely not too intelligent, but also the trailer just looks ridiculously weird and just odd. That same night, thanks to someone discovering the Vimeo channel of this account for Dame Dash Studios, someone would discover the Dame Dash Donda documentary, where Dame Dash goes to Kanye's Wyoming ranch when Kanye is fresh off his manic, his Twitter rants, the whole comment about North. He's filming all of this, and also included in this, and probably what I like to think is the bigger deal here, a bunch of Kanye Donda songs take up this whole thing. They're all playing in the background while Dame Dash just strokes his own ego. We would get to hear God Breathed on this, Precious, Praise God, I Feel Terrific, Pray For Me, which is the original version. Obviously, that was the track that Kanye featured on originally for St. John's album. Future Sounds, Off the Grid, 24, In God's Country, which featured Travis Scott, and then Alien, which had like a really interesting guitar riff, but who knows if that'll be kept, to be honest with you, if Alien ever does get released. This will give fans kind of an uncomfortable look into what Kanye's head was kind of at while all the craziness was going on in the summer related to Donda. Ultimately, Kanye was surrounded by a bunch of yes men, and he wasn't really taking no for an answer for the very few outliers who were actually there to try to help him and support him and, talk him back down to ground level. Dame would be coming out with a new service, a streaming service. I'm not going to plug it here, but it's where he's going to upload videos and movies and stuff like that. And there was a whole Yeezy section, basically. So a lot of people figured that this maybe would have the Donda movie with it, or the Angels video. There was a lot of speculation on maybe something Donda related being on this platform. And also, in the hype up to this, Dame Dash would do an interview, have a magazine for his new platform, and in the magazine would be a picture of the Donda cover art. No movie or anything, no album, even though it says, you're going to get access to music with this service. Nothing Kanye related, at least that's new, would be found. Elon Musk at this point in time said he was going to do a Clubhouse meeting with Kanye, which was interesting because we haven't heard from Kanye in forever, but that would never see the light of day. On the 9th of March, Shy the Prince would go on to say that him and Kanye were back working on the upcoming album.
I think he started working on it late last year, so I think once November, December, January comes around, he kind of takes a hiatus or, vacation break, get with the family. So we're back working. That's why I'm out here too.
Kanye's design of a Yeezy stem player would be teased on social media, and even a clip would be released of someone messing with it. Basically, this thing like distorts audio so you can erase the vocals, repeat a certain bar or a point in a beat. It's a pretty cool product. But someone would be playing Believe What I Say on it. Now, the last time Kanye would actually be seen in the public eye is a rather unfortunate occasion. He would be at DMX's funeral. There's a shot of Kanye's locker room at the Barclays Center, and he's near Jay-Z, which is like really cool news, but I'm not really going to celebrate that, or, anyone who speculates about them, are they going to collab? That's just inappropriate. They're here, obviously, for a very unfortunate occasion. Kanye would play a big part in this ceremony, though. He would allegedly be a part of designing the stage. It does look very Kanye-like. He would also perform with the Sunday service. He more or less kind of orchestrated it all. And then also he would produce this very beautiful synth outro for the Rough Riders anthem. It's also important to note that at this point in time, every time we started to see Kanye now, like people would post a picture of him, something like that, he would always have something covering his face. And there was one outlier, but most of the time it is a retro vintage Harley Davidson t-shirt that says, "Can't Chain the Power," with a badass panther on it. Now, this personally gives me vibes of Yeezus and gets me pretty hyped for whatever's to come with Kanye, because this new era seems a little bit raw. Whether it's related to the divorce or not, I think this is kind of, in a way, Kanye wanting to control his own narrative, control his own image in the media. He lost an election. Now there's news of his marriage and a very popular family being split. So I can kind of see why he wouldn't want to be seen or attacked. He wants to have this vibe of mystique, which I think is pretty darn cool. Also, it's important to note that Kanye has a lot of passionate issues that are going on in his life right now. Like I said, can you imagine losing an election like that, especially when Kanye was so confident about winning? Has to be soul crushing. My point is that he has a lot of things in his life right now that could drive him to have to release some sort of energy. And Kanye, a lot of the times in his life, when faced with tragedy and bad news, puts it into music and makes masterpieces. Oddly enough, on Mother's Day, a Dear Donda EP would be released on all platforms. This more or less seems like a label thing than a Kanye decision. It would be removed relatively soon. It was no new music. It was just old Kanye songs like Hey Mama. Fans got really hyped recently for a potential Yeezy Gap release. They found some stuff on the website like hyperlinks and stuff kind of linking potential images of Yeezy socks and everything like that. But there was literally no mention of Yeezy Gap in the recent Gap shareholder meeting. Now, it is confirmed that the whole Gap deal is signed for the first half of 2021, so Kanye, I think, is going to have to release something. A logo's also been trademarked for Yeezy Gap, but really the question for me is the whole Gap release going to be linked with a release of a new album? I mentioned Casey Pluto before. He's a known collaborator on the Donda album, and look at him looking at a wall in many different pictures. What is he looking at? He tweeted another tease recently. He's kind of laid off that, but he's back on it again. He was in the studio. He said, what am I releasing or whatever? And someone's like, is it for this or is it this? Basically, the person asked, like, is it for Donda or is it for the Basement or whatever album he's working on? And he said, maybe both. Just this past Wednesday, Casey Pluto will be active on Twitter, teasing again, potentially alluding to a summer release date of Donda, and then later confirming that he is on the project. Speaking of social media, Kanye's last appearance on any type of platform would be on Instagram, when Future would post a picture of himself with Kanye and Travis Scott. Could this mean Kanye's on Utopia with Future and Travi Patty? We really don't know. And that's really all that's happened from October to now. Is kind of a depressing video. And unfortunately, Kanye's silence doesn't really help. We're not getting any new Kanye information from the man himself. And I mean, even if we did, is that even reliable anymore? All we can really hold on to is the possible release of Yeezy Gap. That's like our only saving grace right now as a community. Kanye's obviously doing something with this record. There's some type of motif or theme that we're gonna see on the record with the whole covering his face thing. While Donda kind of seemed to be more positive with the news of certain religious songs being scrapped, it kind of seems like Kanye's going back to that whole God's country formula of wash us in the blood. So you got the Yeezus raw, metal kind of sound infused with sort of, religious, or at this point now, allegedly spiritual lyrics. Either way, I do have high hopes for this record, whether it gets released from, a month from now or a year from now. I do have high hopes for whatever Kanye's coming out with in the future. Let's just hope that the next time I upload a video with Donda in the title, it's actually to review the brand new Kanye West album.